ASEs is a certification in the repair industry. Are they worth it? Nuts and bolts with Tone here, guys. And are ASEs worth it? ASEs are a certification in the automotive industry, well, automotive, truck, school bus, in the repair industry, certifying you in specific subjects, brakes, engine repair, HVAC, things like that. So that certification is given by the ASE. Those ASEs are good for 5 years. What does that mean? Does that mean that if you have a brakes ASE that you're a master at brakes, or if you have A1 through A8, you're a master tech and you know everything? No, it does not. It means that you are committed to your career, committed to the industry, and committed to the shops that you work for. Meaning that you will go the extra mile for your career, for certifications, and most likely you're willing to go to training. So I've been in this industry for almost 20 years, and I've been ASE certified for most of that time. I went to a tech school or trade school, and I was told every class, at the beginning of class, every single time, all the way through, get every license, get every certification, get everything that you can possibly get along the way, even if it's just something as simple as a Hunter tire machine certification. That doesn't mean that you're an expert with the Hunter tire machine, but it does mean that when you go to apply for a job, that an employer knows that you're willing to go to training, you have gone to training, and obviously you know something. I mean, you can't pass ASE tests and be a complete idiot. Now, it is possible to be ASE certified and not be able to apply that to vehicles. I see that all the time. But by having those ASEs, that helps get you in the door when you're applying for a job. You go to apply for a job and your resume, if all your resume has on there is experience and maybe you have 10 years. There's another guy that's got 6 years, but he's got ASE certs, he's got maybe a license, he's got a bunch of other certs, Sprinter certification, things like that, then there's a good chance he's going to get the job or at least get the interview before you, because you don't show any drive. Drive is huge. Commitment and drive in this industry are huge, and I've met a lot of people that have neither. They just go to work, punch a clock, turn wrenches, and go home at the end of the day. They have no desire to further their career, further their knowledge, and further their education to become a better tech. Well, having ASEs kind of points you in that direction that you are willing to do that. Now, ASEs are good in anywhere in the United States. So if you were to go to Connecticut, if your wife got a transfer to Florida, you go to Florida. Hey, I got ASEs. Even if you have California licenses and you're moving out of California, well, those licenses, they don't count. However, your ASEs do. So when you go to Florida or Connecticut or Washington, doesn't matter, and you walk up and you apply for a job, your ASEs are all there. And I can tell you from experience that having a strong resume, not just experience, it really, really means a lot to an employer. I was working at a flat rate shop for like 6 years, and one day boss had to close the doors. So I had to update my resume. Luckily, I had been taking all my ASEs. I only had about 7 years experience, but I had a lot of certs. I had a lot of ASEs. I had a lot of licenses. So when I went to apply for the jobs, they automatically looked at my resume instead of just throwing it in a pile, because I was employable. I didn't have a lot of experience, so that hurt me, but I did have a lot of certs. Just so happened the shop I went to was looking for their shop foreman, had just left, and I possessed a lot of the things that they needed in a shop foreman. So I got the job. So really your ASEs, your resume, things like that, that gets you in the door. That gets you to sit down with the boss. Maybe it gets the guy at the counter to give your resume to the manager, and then the manager to look at it and then give you a shot. Well, from there, you got 2 more steps. 1, sitting down, talking to them, and convincing them why you should get the job. And 2, actually getting in there and doing the things that you said you can do. So that is really good about ASEs. Now, shop owners, maybe you don't have ASEs. Maybe you don't work on cars. You just manage the shop. You own the shop, whatever. So having ASEs is really good for a lot of reasons. Reason number one, somebody walks up to your shop and there's a big old fat sign out front that says ASE. Even though the consumer knows nothing about it, they see something on the shop more than Joe's Auto Repair. We do brakes and AC and all that. Now they see a certification. If you're in California, maybe you have some licenses, things like that. But so you've got that big sign that says ASE, or we employ ASE certified technicians. You walk in and on the wall are the certs. And you got certs. This guy over here, he has a Master Tech. I personally think it looks very professional and very sellable. It's a very selling item when somebody walks in and you've got a wall and you've got their certs. You know, you got Joe and he's a master technician, and then you got Frank and he's got 6. And then you've got somebody else. They've got, you know, like me. I have A1 through A8. I have A1 through A9, so I'm a master tech with light duty diesel. I have L1 and L2, which is advanced auto repair and advanced diesel repair. And I have X1, which is exhaust specialty. It's a specialty test. To get exhaust, you have to have brakes and suspension. Then you can take the exhaust test, and then you have another certificate that says undercar specialist. So for me, it would say master technician, A1 through A9, L1 and L2. X1 or undercar specialist. So it looks good when you have this. And when people are sitting in your waiting room and they've got a cup of coffee and they're sitting there on their phone and they're looking up and they're seeing the certs. Maybe you have certs of guys that have been to hybrid training and diesel training and things like that. That looks good because remember, the people that are bringing their cars into you, they don't know anything about cars, a lot of them. All they know is what they see, and that looks very impressive. So this is why, as a shop owner, you would want to employ ASE certified techs. Now, what else do ASEs do for you? Well, one thing is they can increase your pay. For one, if you're an ASE certified technician, then maybe right out the gate, you're going to make a little bit more money because of your ASEs. I know I've heard of places where their pay is based upon your experience and your certifications. I also have seen shops that advertise that they pay per ASE. They pay, so every time you get an ASE, you get a little bump in pay. Might not be a lot, but hey, all you did was take a test. Now every hour you make a little bit more money. Get a couple more, maybe you make a little more money. Some shops require you to become a master tech, or they have certain levels, you know. You pass these, you get a raise. But all you're doing is taking a test. So now taking the test. When you take the test, back in the day, we used to have to do a written test, and it was only every 6 months, and you had to wait 3 weeks to get the answer. Then they introduced computer-based, which was every other time. Now they did away with all that. Now it's just straight computer-based testing. So you go into a Prometric testing place. It's very secure, camera on you, almost strip search you to get you in, you know, metal detector. I mean, they check everything. You can't take your watch, your necklace, your ring, nothing. So you go in there and you take the test. So to take the test, it is $34 to register. So it's $34 to register, period. No matter how many tests you take in that cycle, $34. Then from there, your regular ASEs are $56 each. Then to take the L1, L2, L3, which is hybrid, and L4, which is ADAS, those are $112 each. And that's on top of the registration fee. And then for military, you have $88. Now, there's a lot of ASEs. There are 58 different certifications that you can get in 13 different specialty areas. There's collision estimator, there's parts, there's military, school bus, transit buses, medium heavy duty trucks, gas, diesel, there's all the L2 tests. So there's all of that. Now, so you get your ASEs and they're good for 5 years. So for 5 years, you don't have to worry about anything. You don't have to study. You don't have to do anything at all. So for A1 through A9, now they have, for your renewal, they have an app. And that app costs $48 for the year. So you pay for the app for the year, and then whatever ASEs you have, they are populated. So for me, A1 through A9, I get one question every month per subject. Once I answer that question, if I get it right, great. If I get it wrong, I get a second chance question in 1 week. So That app is good for 1 year. You have to get 8 questions right in for every ASE, you have to get 8 right. So you have 24 chances to get 8 questions correct in 1 year. So now what does that do for you? That doesn't extend it 5 years. That extends it 1 year. So for me, A1 through A9, every year I pay $48. I get all 9 ASEs. I get them all done, 8 questions each. Boom, that year is done. The next year I pay for the app. Throughout the year, I take the questions. I'm good. Now, the other way to do it would be to wait until 5 years and then go recert. Now, to recert, it's cheaper and you have less questions. So it's like $34 to register and it's $56 each for the test. I'm guessing it's probably around $30 to recert. I can't remember the cost. But to recert, you pay less. The questions are less. So instead of a 50 question test, you might have a 35 question test. Still have to get the same percentage right, but you take less questions. Now, there is one difference between going and taking the test and the app. The app tends to have, I would say 70% of the questions are more difficult in certain subjects, like electrical. They're much more difficult. And here's why. As technology is evolving, so are cars. So cars are evolving and all kinds of new electrical stuff and new electrical systems and all these different types of circuits and things like that are starting to pop up in audio, video, in audio systems, in alarm systems, all that stuff. So if you're not working in a dealership and you're not working on brand new cars, you're not seeing a lot of this new technology until it hits the shop, which takes a long time. Well, some of these questions I'm getting where I have no idea what this is. I mean, I take the test, no clue, never heard it. I guess, hopefully I get it right. If I don't, I go to my computer when I'm done and I look that up and I look it up and I research it so I can understand what it is. So in a way, getting the ASEs is beneficial because it's helping push you in a direction to learn about things that you wouldn't have had any idea about had you not taken the ASE. So same thing with, HVAC systems, you got hybrids, you got all this stuff. So that is how you recert. Now, I just registered for my L2 a couple nights ago, my recert for my L2, and they have a new thing, and it's called remote access. So you can remotely take your test, meaning from home, and it's the same cost to take the test, but there are some differences, and let me warn you. So I signed up for this. I thought, great. I registered for the next day. I'm just going to take it the next day at 12 o'clock, get it done. And I went to register for the test, and it's like you must have a webcam that's detachable from your computer. You must have a dedicated room. You have to do all this stuff. You have to get a program, run it on your computer for a certain amount of time to make sure that it works, that it's not going to go against your firewall or anything like that. So I actually had to call in and say, hey, I can't do this. What do I do? And they're like, just don't go to the test. Don't log on. And just the next day, which was today, just say, call in and you were absent from your test. Explain the situation. I can't remote. And then they're going to switch it around. So now I'm waiting for the lady to call, switch it around so I can go in and take it. So that is how the remote system testing works. Now, one more thing to add for shop owners is you can also get what's called a Blue Seal of Excellence, and it's a plaque from ASE, and it says Blue Seal of Excellence. And if I remember correctly, it's you have to look it up. It's like 75% of your technicians have to be ASE certified, and you have to have somebody that has all A1 through A8, I believe. You have to have A1 through A8, and 75% of the employees have to be 75% certified or something like that. There's some rules in there, but you need A1 through A8 in the shop. Somebody has to have all 8. So that's a Blue Seal of Excellence, and that's another thing to put on your wall. Looks good. I mean, hey, even if you don't know what that stuff is, it's nice and shiny, and it looks good to customers. And it would tend to make them want to trust you more. So now, ASEs, when you take your ASE, there are different types of questions. Now, I urge you to get the study guides. So Motor Age used to do a thing. I don't know if they still do it, but they used to do a thing where if you registered for engine repair, A1, and you bought the engine repair study guide, and you registered for that test to take it in 6 months. I'm a study. I'm going to go through the book, read the questions, do all my due diligence. In 6 months, I'm going to take it if you don't pass. Well, they used to have a thing with, as long as you took it within a certain amount of time of buying the study guide, if you didn't pass, then you got your money back for the book. So I don't know if that still applies, but it used to. If you're in automotive, I would just get the whole set. If you get the whole set, it's cheaper. I got the whole set back a long time ago because I used to have trouble taking tests when I didn't have a lot of experience. Now it's not hard, but it used to be hard for me. I've known guys that could take them and get all 8. Couldn't fix anything, but they had all 8. So when you take the test, though, there are going to be multiple types of questions, and these questions will trip you up. You will hear this throughout your career about jokes about ASE questions. So you will have a question which is a multiple choice, A, B, C, or D. Which one is correct? There could be 2 that are correct, but there's one that they're assuming is more correct. And you will find questions where you know for 100% certain that 2 of the answers are applicable. You've seen both of them in cars. But according to ASE, only 1. So you have to fix the one that is the most right. Then you're going to get a question that's going to say the most likely. You're going to have 4 options, A, B, C, or D. You have to find the one that is the most likely. So the easiest way to differentiate that is to go through and debunk the 2. So a lot of times there's 2 that are way wrong, and then one that's kind of wrong, and then one that's right. So just kind of go through and knock it out like that. The ABCD one, those are take them all the same way. When you read an answer, if it's incorrect, put a line through it. It's not this one. It's not this one. So then you narrow it down. I'm down to 2. It's probably this one. Then the most common question to get wrong because of a misread is the least likely question. That question is going to say, which is the least likely? That will get you wrong a lot if you don't read it slowly and read it a couple times, because you will miss that least likely and think it's most likely, answer it incorrect. So there's that one. And then there's the hardest one of them all, which is Technician A and Technician B. It's going to say the answer is A, Technician A is correct, Technician B is correct, they're both correct, or they're both wrong. So you have 4 ways of getting this question wrong. So it's that one is a lot tricky because you really have to think. And they try to trip you up with stuff. Now, the last bit of advice I have for you is what I was taught in school from day one is don't second guess yourself. So all of our quizzes that we took throughout the school, throughout the class, it would be on a bubble sheet, and our neighbor would grade it. And they would say 9 times out of 10, if you had the wrong answer, you had it right and you erased it. And then you second guessed yourself, and then you tricked yourself into putting the wrong answer. Now, the only way that I don't second guess myself is when I was taking automatic transmissions when I was early on. I don't have any internal automatic transmission experience. I only have school and time in the field. So I had something wrong. There was about 5 questions that had to do with EPC solenoids, electronically pressure controlled solenoid. So this is the pressure regulator for the transmission. So in my head, I was thinking that operated backwards. I wasn't thinking about it operating like a fuel pressure regulator, which when it fails, it goes to deadhead and give you maximum pressure for limp mode. So I went through and I got to the last question, and something about that question made me go, wait a minute. Oh man, I think I'm thinking about this all wrong. I went back, reread every question with a different mindset, and changed my answers. That was actually the first time I passed automatic transmissions. So a lot of times there's like one type of question and they had it multiple times throughout a test. And if you have it backwards, it could cost you to fail because you're going to get it wrong 5 times because it's all similar questions based on the same principle. So that is my take on ASEs and why you should get them. Oh, the last thing is that I've never worked for a shop that didn't reimburse for ASEs. I've heard of a couple times I've had people message me, but most shops will reimburse you for your ASEs. So that is important because, hey, you put the money up front. As long as you pass the test, you get reimbursed. If you don't pass it, whatever. You lost a little bit of money, and it's most likely a tax write-off. After watching this video, I can't wait to read your comments. to find out your opinions on ASEs. Do they matter? Do they not? How long have you had ASEs? Or if you just completely flat out don't believe in them. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, you get notified of all my future content, which you definitely don't want to miss. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time.